It's like you can never bet against Jimmy C. Jimmy C will show you what's up. We're going back to the world of Pandora with Avatar and Fire and Ash. I was able to see it last night. And wow, yeah, going into Avatar Fire and Ash, it's funny because we've talked about it on the show before. Um, it's just the phenomena that Avatar is and why it's interesting that it's like it's kind of the fashionable thing to hate, uh, yet it's made billions of dollars. Um, it's just really wild what this franchise keeps doing consistently. We got two of these films are in the top three of biggest box offices, and Fire and Ash could easily do that again with coming into probably the top 10, if not higher. But I can confidently say after coming out of this film, it totally delivers. It's funny, like with the first, in like the first maybe 5 minutes, I always say to myself, Avatar, like there's just still something about this that maybe I'm not clicking with. I'm like, all right, we're back with the Soul Leaf clan, like we're hanging out with them. And then, some action sequences pop up, and then I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. Because the way they drop you into this world again, it's just, I mean, it's familiar, yet they show off some really neat visuals and they draw you back in with these wonderful characters. And they bring in some new characters with Varang, who is the Ash Queen kind of girl. And she is very spicy and in all sorts of ways. She is awesome to watch. She is pretty sweet in her abilities and how, like, the whole Ash clan, I'm pretty sure they're called like the Ash tribe or whatever, but the way they go into them and show their ways and how they navigate Pandora and why they're doing what they're doing was compelling. And she has some great character moments, even though she is pretty or like radicalistic, like she's wild, just fun to watch. But you get some really good moments with her, and I mean, yeah, it was an overall a really really sweet film. Again, it's just really crazy how they keep doing this. How, I mean, it's like you can never bet against Jimmy C. Jimmy C will show you what's up because
Jimmy
he's got
C.
he's got the visuals. He's got this great cast of characters. What's funny because coming off of Way of Water, thinking about some of the characters, and we did end up losing one of the Sully kids, and this film comes directly after Way of Water. Like they started right after Way of Water, pretty much. And you're following these characters as they're dealing with grief, which was really nice to see. Just them trying to overcome that, and that story thread is within this entire film in a really neat way. And throughout that, you get some great moments with some characters that you saw from Way of Water. It's like, well, is this character ever going to develop in a certain way? Or like, why is this character here and why have we not dealt with certain things in Way of Water? Well, we deal with them in Fire and Ash. I was very, very intrigued by Spider, the human character. And like coming off of Way of Water, Spider was never my favorite because he was that like oddball guy because he's the only guy who's with the avatars. Like visually, it's very jarring. And seeing him in Fire and Ash, yeah, Spider's the real deal. In a way, Fire and Ash is kind of like his film, which is really neat because you have Quaritch, which I love Quaritch. Stephen Lang, who plays Quaritch, golly, I love that guy. I mean, just like the way he says stuff, and he's just he's so badass. And of course, like he gets a really cool paint job in this too because he's in like some of the fire, like the red and the ash cool visuals. It's just he looks badass. Um, but yeah, you have like a great storyline with him and Spider, and then Jake and Spider. So lots of great things connected. Sigourney Weaver's character, we get a lot of great stuff with her in this film where it's like that they kind of go unanswered in Way of Water, and you get more of that in Fire and Ash. It's like, okay, um, she's something. And again, I think this, I mean, the Avatar films just always surprise me. It's just always like, of course, I'm going to say it's a spectacle. These films are always a spectacle. They just deliver the visual. They know what you want, And like in terms of the visual, I wouldn't say there was anything super groundbreaking. There wasn't any like particular scenes in this that really blew my mind because it sucks to say it's like we're so used to the Pandora now. It's kind of lost its magic a little bit, but
Mm.
still what still carries the torch for this film for me are the characters and how they go through their grief. Zoe Saldana as Neytiri is so special. She always delivers a fantastic performance. Sam Worthington as Jake Sully, he's always badass. He's great. Like I said, the Jake Sully and Quaritch moments are so fun. This film does not slouch in that, and his kids are great. So all in all, I'd say this film was a win. I hope it makes the big bucks because I want to see some more. And I will say, after seeing 3 Avatar films, it is a very satisfying trilogy. And I think if they were to end it here, I think I think that'd be fine, which I don't think they're going to because I know Cameron wants to make some more. I think they're going until 5, but
Really?
yeah, yeah, we'll see. But David, what's your hype level for Avatar: Fire and Ash?
I was very hyped for Way of Water, probably more so just because I never saw the original Avatar, and this had been 13 years since the second Avatar, and it just quietly made like a couple billion, I think, or
Yeah, yeah, over 2 billion. I think it was like
that's
2.8, 2.9,
ins that's insane.
a
That
little
is
bit.
insane. Yeah, and like you said, they're surprising in many different ways. I mean, Jimmy C literally changes the industry, seems like, with every one of these new Avatar films.
Yeah.
And despite like people hating it for, I just don't know how you can. If you like go to the theater, like how bad can the story possibly be where you come out of an Avatar movie like, oh, like what? Like this is crazy to me.
I know.
Again, James Cameron completely redefines the industry every time one of these movies comes out. And his did you get to the part of the Joe Rogan podcast with Robert Rodriguez when he was talking about James Cameron?
No, I didn't see that part.
So he was talking about him. I think he did call him Jim. I think he did.
Okay.
Um, and he would say he talked about the creative aspect of filmmaking and the technical aspect of filmmaking. He said something he would say is the creative spirit, right? It's inside all of us. And
Yeah.
it can flow out. You just gotta kind of let it come out. And the technical side is a much more like hard skill of repeated actions and repeated, a lot of knowledge and learning about the cameras and like a lot of technical skill, engineering, really.
Yeah.
And he's like, if you have both of those, you get James Cameron. Essentially, is he has the creative spirit that is just flowing out of him, right? But his technical knowledge is, I mean, it's the best. It's the best in the industry. He is the number one guy for something like that, right? Technical, in
Hmm.
terms of the technical ability of making movies. Where a lot of people, and maybe some people, probably more like Robert Rodriguez, is like more of like the creative type.
Okay.
He's a very technical person. I don't want to obviously harp on that guy because he's done a lot of very like out of the box technical feats in terms of movies.
Yeah.
And what you think about who's number one? That's Jimmy C.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a really interesting take to think about directors in that way of like, do they lean more of the creative side or do they lean more of the technical side? That's actually really sweet. Yeah, I'm gonna go into other directors thinking that now, just to like see what side they lean towards. Because when I think of like say James Gunn, that's more the creative side for sure. And
Mm-hmm.
then we think of someone like Nolan. Man, I feel like he's pretty technical, but I guess maybe I'd put Nolan more technical. I'd say.
Maybe. Yeah, I would say he's very creative also with like not necessarily cinematography, but the story. Like he's very creative with that. And
Yeah.
it seems like some directors are more creative with like the cinematography, the way things look, and not so much focusing on the story, the writing,
Hmm.
where Nolan is like, maybe you could call it even technical about the writing, like, going
Yeah.
this way. I mean, with Interstellar, like the world learned more about like space and time because of Interstellar. That's how crazy of a movie that was.
Yeah.
And that comes from like a technical aspect in terms of the writing. But I would say even definitely the visuals for sure. I mean, there were memes about when the Odyssey tickets released and like the news broke that like, Matt Damon's, looking at a real life Cyclops because no one doesn't want to use CGI.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
So yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, a few things more I forgot to touch on was the length of the film. Because it was 3 hours, and going into a film to a theater that had no recliners for 3 hours is tough.
Yeah.
But I was fine because 3 hours, the way James, or I was supposed to say James Gunn, the way Jimmy C uses pacing, like like for pacing to work, you kind of have to like for I guess for me when I define pacing is like when the like the film's runtime works for you, and coming after seeing Fire and Ash, I'm like the whole thing worked. The pacing worked for me. It didn't feel boring in moments. It didn't feel too chaotic in moments. I think it was beautifully paced, beautifully edited, and I think if you have a film that could do those two, that's probably half the battle because you want to keep audiences engaged, you want to keep their attention. And like me, sitting in a chair that's not a recliner for 3+ hours is tough. And I can happily say I was very pleased. Even there are moments because there's multiple big sequences in this film and one that's long. Um, it's very very sweet. So sitting through those sequences, like my brain's like, okay, like I was locked in, like about 15 minutes in, and then after like a big sequence comes, I'm like, okay, I'm I could sit here for another hour, and then like another sequence comes, I'm like, I could sit here for another hour. It's like the way Jimmy C envelops the audience in his films, he just knows what to do, and everyone on that film, the crew, cast and crew, they know what they're doing. So I'm here for more Avatar. I've definitely been converted to a lover of these films because it took me a bit because after seeing Avatar 1, I was like, okay. After seeing Way of Water, I was like, okay. And then Fire and Ash, I'm like, yep, okay. So that's my review of Fire and Ash. Let us know if you're excited for it, if you've seen it, and curious to hear your thoughts.